The Hulk has become this bum of a hero, going from this heroic monster to whatever this is.
Bruce.
But I'm not here to talk about the fall off in the MCU, because the characters of the Hulk and Bruce Banner aren't even close to what they are in the comics. What we were shown in the movies is a gross oversanitization of who they really are. Bruce Banner is a terribly tragic character, a victim of generational trauma. Most media portrays Bruce as the undisputed good guy of the two, a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, if you will, but that is not entirely correct. The world isn't so black and white, that only one is a monster. His story begins even before his birth, with his father, Brian Banner. His father was a neglected child, which led him to being a narcissistic asshole gamma scientist. He was top of his field, but due to being an early researcher, he had been exposed to radiation multiple times. He believed that if he were to have a child, that he would be born a mutant. Although he didn't tell his wife Rebecca, as he feared this would strain the marriage. Ultimately, she became pregnant and gave birth to Bruce. Brian hated Bruce at the moment of his conception. The love Rebecca showed Brian is now being split with someone else, their son. But that isn't what he saw. He saw a monster. Brian would often go on dates with Rebecca to have her all to himself, leaving Bruce with a sitter who only cared for money. A monster like his father. As Bruce became older, Brian tries to justify his beliefs, grasping onto his son's intelligence as proof of his mutant nature, punishing him for merely existing. Rebecca was the opposite. She was an angel. She cared deeply for them both. But she had no idea that the Brian she fell in love with was just a facade. She routinely had to take a beating to defend Bruce. After years of abuse, she had become tired of his insanity and began to leave for their betterment. Brian could not allow this. If he could not have Rebecca's love, then neither can their son. So he killed her, which led to his imprisonment. Bruce's world is now absent of the devil, but also the angel. Bruce was forced to behave. He wasn't allowed to show emotion, constantly in fear of the monster in the house. His only escape was being alone, diving into the world of science where things made sense. Even after the monster was gone, his life was thrown into limbo without his mother. He still feared to feel, believing that if he let himself become emotional, he would become a monster like his father said. This led him to struggling with communicating with others, preferring a quote-unquote rational way of thinking. The abuse had fractured Bruce's mind. At first, it was just Bruce and the Hulk. The Hulk symbolizes the childhood that was taken away from him. He would come out in moments of distress once their monster was gone. Angry. Angry that he is powerless, forced to live a life of one-sided violence with the man who is supposed to love him. Bruce was taken in by his aunts and went to a prestigious school. He was the most brilliant due to all the time he spent with science. He acted very robotic, so others bullied him, trying to get a reaction out of the reactionless. He also attempted at romance, but his inability to feel pushed every woman away, despite him so desperately wanting their love. Another altar was formed. Joe Fixit, his desires. A crude altar that did whatever he wanted, sleeping with multiple women, drinking, fighting, you name it. He too was smart, but not in the same way. He's street smart and persuasive, the opposite of Bruce. Bruce had become a gamma scientist just like his father. So brilliant that he got contracted to develop the next strongest bomb, a gamma bomb. A bomb which he knows will be used for unspeakable violence, but still goes through with it. At the day of testing, a teenager Rick Jones breaks into the testing site. Bruce tells them to hold off the bomb till he gets Rick out of the way. Bruce is the only one who knows how the gamma bomb works, and the papers are hidden in his cabin. So the other scientist lets the bomb activate so that he can take the formula and the credit with it. Fortunately, Bruce is able to get Rick out in time, but sadly not himself, turning him into a monster, the monster his father had always feared. The Hulk was very different in his initial showing. Bruce only transformed at night, akin to a werewolf, and the Hulk was, well, grey and wasn't dumb. He just kept going off about being the strongest and being left alone. His subsequent appearances became green and dumber, and not so strongly attached to the night, although he is still stronger at that time. The grey form got retconned into being Joe Fixit. The Hulk, while yes destructive, has no malicious intent. He is childish, responding to everything with strong emotions, which tends to be anger. The anger is mostly due to the ostracization of his appearance, constantly being attacked due to the others lacking the ability to understand those who are different, those who are broken. This is why Hulk feels the need to be the strongest and alone, to defend himself against the world that is trying to harm him. Despite his insistence on being alone, that is not what he truly wants. He believes he does because he was conditioned to do so. When he is truly left alone, he feels an empty, painful void that can only be filled by the love that he never got as a child. Bruce hates the Hulk, for he is the monster his father always feared. Meaning in his mind that Bruce was always right. Despite having suffered the same life, Bruce has the inability to reach an understanding of the Hulk. Instead, he tries to remove him permanently, the same as Brian tried to kill Bruce. Though attempting multiple times, he always persists as the Hulk is part of him as he is part of the Hulk, the same fractured soul. Once Bruce understood that there's no separating the two, he tries to take his life and Hulk's with it, giving into despair and allowing his father to win. The Hulk does not allow this to happen. To have his power taken away from another? No, not ever again. He will persist and live in defiance of the violence placed upon him. The world eventually learns to love the Hulk, due to the advent of heroes. The Hulk becomes an avenger and a friend to others like him. He also finds love in multiple women over the years, although him being treated as a monster or hero changes every other issue. His prominent love interest is Betty Ross, the daughter of Thunderbolt Ross, his biggest enemy. Despite having a megalomaniac father, she somehow remained full of love. Love that became directed at Bruce. He is everything her father isn't. Quiet, rational, and kind. Bruce falls for Betty as well, as she is the spitting image of his mother. So much so that even the Hulk has an interest in her. Unfortunately, she soon learns that he isn't all she deemed him to be. The Hulk alter reminiscent of her father pushes her away. She wants to be with Bruce, but not the Hulk. This turns the relationship into a massive mess. Bruce attempts to remove the Hulk. They get back together, the Hulk comes back, and she distances herself. Ultimately, they get married, but the constant cycle in the comics don't let them to be happy. This leads to Bruce, Hulk, or Joe Fixit to getting with other women. The other notable love interest is Jarella. Jarella lives in a subatomic world, one where the people are green and simpler. Jarella is a perfect woman in the sense of a relationship for Bruce. She cares for Bruce and Hulk and justifies all his actions. Never arguing, almost always agreeing, even with the irrational Hulk. The strangest part is when Bruce wants to kill the Hulk. She allows it, despite also showing love to the Hulk, almost like she isn't real, some figment of his imagination. Jarella and her world are an escape for Bruce and Hulk. A world where Bruce can have the Hulk's body and heralded as a champion, king, and a husband, while simultaneously having conflict that makes him feel strong as he can instantly end it. Though they do not belong. They have their own world that they are forced to return to. While literally existing, it's an allegory for escapism, and when he is brought back, he fought to return but ultimately was always forced out. While Hulk and Bruce are just looking for one woman, Joe Fixit is out there sleeping with multiple. This is due to him being the desired part of the system. Despite his tendency to sleep with multiple women at once, he did get in a short-lived relationship with Marlo Chandler. She ended up breaking up with him for his aggressive nature and later got with Rick Jones. Then there is Kyra. In order to speak about her, I must open a huge can of worms. In the story, Planet Hulk, the Hulk that was on Sakaar wasn't actually the Hulk, but instead the Green Scar. Confusing since they look the same. They could have at least changed his color, as they did with Joe Fixit. Green Scar is an alter that was formed as a defense mechanism of Sakaar. He was sent to Sakaar in accidents. Originally, Illuminati wanted to send him to a peaceful planet. Instead, he got sent to one of slavery. This alter isn't as angry and somewhat intelligent while being very strong. He had become a resistance leader, overthrowing the king, ruling the land with Kyra, a former slave and wife to Red King that was able to keep up with the Green Scar. Unfortunately, one of Green Scar's quote-unquote friends had rigged his ship to explode, causing everyone to die, including his wife. Green Scar, believing this to be the work of the Illuminati, returned to Earth and fought all heroes before losing. He has hardly shown up since. A frankly similar feeling alters that of Devil Hulk. Devil Hulk serves as the ultimate protector of the system, one with the intelligence of Bruce and the brawn of the Hulk. An alter willing to do anything for their safety, including ending the world as they know it. Although he isn't evil, but neither is he good, he just disregards the means in order to ensure the ends, that being the safety of the system. An alter that was developed out of the need of a father. Now, I feel mixed on these alters. On one hand, it's somewhat true to how people with DID suffer the condition, but at the same time it muddies the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde dynamic. Extremely muddied at that, since there is more alters than I have spoken of so far. There's Doc Green, Merged Hulk, now known as Professor Hulk, Maestro, Guilt Hulk, and so many more. I mean, just look at this panel. Nevertheless, it could work. but not with the current story of the Hulk in the comics, since these alters are ultimately used in order to explain inconsistencies in the characterization of the Hulk and Bruce, or as a way to reset character development without abolishing it entirely. Instead, it would have to be baked into the start of the character, directly shown in their history, not retconned. I'm a firm believer that the Hulk works more as a psychological monster and horror character, instead of that of a generic hero. He is far more complex in the psyche, akin to Frankenstein. The times he has been used in superhero-focused projects has proven this. The projects simply do not have enough time to spend on the complexity of their mind. He would need a dedicated project in order to properly adapt the Hulk. Sadly, Universal Pictures owns the rights to a solo Hulk movie, so the poor adaptations will continue to persist. The comics, as I mentioned earlier, aren't exactly consistent in characterization, so even though it is a substantially better, there is much to be desired. It feels as though this beautifully crafted character will never see a fantastic story from start to finish, that instead the incredible story has to be Frankenstein together from decades of comic book stories.
And before any of you say, I'm not just referring to one storyline, but his overall storyline that happened throughout.
Despite that, I will always keep this character dear to my heart, more than any other superhero.
Stand ready for my arrival.